Welcome back to Esbr Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Danny and Paul. This is a reaction video to the news that Jack Catterall will face Jorge Linares on October 21st in Liverpool. Danny, Paul, seen some mixed messages about this fight on social media. Interested to get the views from both of you. Paul, going to go to you first. Jorge Linares, who's familiar with him in these shores. He's kind of faced the likes of Kevin Mitchell and Anthony Crolla before, Luke Campbell as well. Those fights were quite a while ago. He's had over 50 fights, 37 years old, facing Jack Catterall, who's a lot of people would still say is undefeated because that controversial loss against Josh Taylor. Thoughts on this fight? Is this one you're looking forward to? Yeah, let us know what you think.
Yeah, cheers, mate. See, to be completely honest with you, I'm not really looking forward to this fight. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't see any way in which, unfortunately, Jorge Linares can win this fight now. I think obviously a three-weight world champion, and years ago he was one of my favorite fighters, but now he's lost three on the spin. He's been stopped six times in his eight defeats, and most of them have come down at lightweight or super featherweight rather than this being a super lightweight. I don't see any way in which he can win. He's 37, 38, whatever age he is. And despite being a three-weight world champion in the past, and look how, he's got a great resume and has had some brilliant fights even lately, he fought Devin Haney recently about 5 years ago. He fought and dropped Lomachenko, of course. But now I'm not a fan of this fight, to be quite honest with you. I'd happily see Jorge Linares never step foot in the ring again. As much as that pains me to say it, because he's such a talented fighter, and in his prime was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've used the word retire recently on this channel and faced a little bit of backlash from it. Hoping we're not going to feel the same sort of backlash recently, but you never know. Linares lost his last three fights, albeit one of those was against Devin Haney. Lost to Zar Abdullayev, who's not a bad fighter. Kind of got stopped in the final round against him, which was a fight that I think was a 50-50 fight going into it, and then lost his last fight against the chap whose record at the time was 12-3-2. That was December of last year. Danny, what are your thoughts on this fight? Do you echo what Paul says, or are you looking forward to it a little bit more?
Nah, I would agree with what Paul said. I mean, if you want to try and pick out some positive, it's good that Jack Catterall is getting a bit of activity in his career. I know that's something that sort of plagued him for a while, and if you're promoting him, I can sort of understand why they've gone Linares, because he's got name value in the UK, as you said in the intro, and it looks as if they're quite confident they can get the Josh Taylor rematch made for the new year. So that's a big fight still, and you're not gonna put Catterall in with someone who's got too much of a chance of beating him, which I don't think Linares has. And in terms of low risk opponents with name value, he's probably as good as you'll get, but as Paul says, in terms of what's going to happen in the ring, I'm not particularly excited about it. I would be shocked if we see anything other than a very comfortable Jack Catterall win, maybe even a stoppage. Linares has never had the best chin. He's 37 now, as Paul says, stopped six times, and even the one fight he fought at super lightweight and something closer to his prime, he got stopped really early by a fella who, I think when I was looking at box right there, it was 35-7 or something. So yeah, I would agree with what Paul says. I don't see it being a particularly competitive fight, but I can sort of understand why it's happening.
Yeah, I think you've got to have obviously have our business minds on and know that this Josh Taylor rematch would be a big fight. And that Jack Catterall can't afford to have a fight that he's going to lose in, or maybe even kind of a really tricky fight before that. Paul, I'll go back to you here. Do you think that's the route that is being planned out, and do you think that's going to happen? Do you think we will see the rematch between Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor end of this year, maybe beginning of next? Do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, mate, I think it will. I think it kind of has to happen next year, to be honest with you. If you look at both sides of it, obviously, if you're Josh Taylor, you just come. Where else do you go? Really, you come off the back of a kind of a one-sided loss there to Teofimo Lopez, who a lot of people weren't given a chance against Taylor going into the fight, given how he's performed recently, obviously before that Taylor fight. And then obviously there's if you're Josh Taylor as well. I don't know from my perspective. If I was Josh Taylor, I'd kind of want to right that wrong. Yes, you got the win and it's a win on your record, but everyone knows you didn't win that fight. And no matter how much you say that you think you won that fight, he knows in the back of his mind, Josh Taylor, that he did not win that fight. So I think he just kind of needs for him. He'll want closure on that episode of his career, and will want to kind of silence the doubters, so to speak. And if you're Jack Catterall, it's got to be yeah, world. It's got to be a fight that appeals to you, even though I suppose now there's no world titles on the line. I still feel like it's a fight that Jack Catterall would really want as well, and definitely makes sense. And I'm all for it, mate. It was a good fight first time around. I had Catterall winning it, and yeah, don't think it would see it this year, but definitely early stages of next year, hopefully.
Yeah, Danny, we'll round things off with you. Just your kind of your thoughts on seeing that rematch in the next few months. Is that a rematch fight you want to see? And also, just one thing I'm interested in for that fight is where it happens. If you consider a very controversial points decision in favor of Josh Taylor last year, the fight was happening in Glasgow. Your thoughts on that fight and where you see that rematch happening if it does.
Yeah, first of all, I do think it'll happen. Just again to echo what Paul says, I don't know where else Josh Taylor would possibly go. And it's quite funny. I would say Catterall probably holds maybe not all the cards, but certainly a lot more of the cards, given the sort of trajectory of both their careers and as Paul says, like the options they both have. I think Jack Catterall would be probably more likely to get a world title shot in the future, based if it weren't neither of them were to fight again, than Josh Taylor being like promotional situation. So I think you'll probably see that fight in Manchester. To be honest, I don't think it'll go back up to Scotland. Jack Catterall done a decent number of tickets for the fight with Dara Foley, and I know this Linares fight is happening in Liverpool, which strange one, but again, it'll sort of build Catterall's profile more. I would say it happened in Manchester, to be honest, at the Manchester Arena start of next year. I think it could do a decent stab at selling it out. Catterall's popularity in Manchester is growing and growing, and yeah, no, I think it will happen. I think it'll happen in Manchester, and I think, as you both sort of said, you're looking at the first 3 months of next year, hopefully, provided they don't pick up injuries or anything.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Yeah. Cool. Very honest, genuine reaction about this fight happening, gents. We're not going to kind of polish a turd, as some would say. But yeah, looking forward to October 21st to ish, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. Danny and Paul, thank you very much for your time.